Welcome to Anime Recaps. In this video, we will explain Banished from the Hero's Party. I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. This anime tells a story of a member of the Hero's Party who has the ability to save and guide heroes to save the world. However, his ability as a guide was considered weak, so he was expelled by one of a member of the Hero's Party, which made him decide to have a new and peaceful life as a pharmacist. Will his wish to live peacefully as a pharmacist come true? Let's find out in Banished from the Hero's Party. I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. This anime tells a story of a young man named Red in Zoltan village. Red is a pharmacist. Every day he would go to a forest on the edge of the village to look for herbs. In this mountainous area on the border of Zoltan, there are many herbs. After finding the herbs needed, he returns home and mixes these herbs into medicines. Not infrequently, the medicine that he concocts himself will immediately be sold. Zoltan village is often visited by adventurers who will buy Red's medicinal herbs. Other than that work, Red's life in the village is quite relaxed. He went to drink coffee at a shop and interacted with the villagers. Even so, actually, he is hiding his identity. The scene moves to a flashback that explains Red's background and past. In that world, everyone gets gifts and blessings from God. Since birth, they already have the ability, which is one gift for each of them. Later at a specific time, these abilities will appear in each person. The scene shows how the soldiers have the gift of fighting ability. Meanwhile, magicians get gifts with magical abilities. Red apparently has a gift which is unique, namely to save and guide the heroes who will save the world from destruction. The next scene shows how Red has shown the gift he has had since he was a child. The gift makes him very strong. This is seen when he saves a little blue-haired girl known to be his younger sister named Rudy Ragnarsson. Red's real name is Gideon Ragnarsson. Gideon or Red used to be a member and a soldier in the Hero's Party. His position in the group is as a guide, where he supports the hero, who is his own sister, Rudy. Even though his gift is not a hero, he can show the ability to fight and even lead. Unfortunately, Gideon's abilities are no longer developing, which makes the situation in the Hero's Party uncertain. Ares, the second leader in the Hero's Party after Rudy, takes advantage of Gideon's situation. One night, Ares asked Gideon to meet him. He intends to test Gideon's abilities by challenging him to damage the magic shield he created. Ares threw his sword at Gideon and put a magic shield around himself. If he could pierce the magic shield with a sword, Ares would admit that he was worthy. On the other hand, if he fails, he is deemed unfit to be in the Hero's Party. Gideon tried to swing the sword at the magic shield surrounding Ares, but his power was not enough to penetrate the shield. He remembered how his abilities were completely out of balance even in the previous battle with Rudy the hero. Then Ares said that Gideon was only a burden in the Hero's Party group. As a representative of the Hero's Party, he revealed that Gideon's role as a guide in the group was over. As Bahamut's night, it would be a shame for Gideon to step down. Ares then asks him to return all the objects he got from the Hero's Party and go to start a new life. Gideon followed Ares' orders and left the Hero's Party. To the other Hero's Party members, Gideon reasoned he was leaving on a mission. He then explains that he will gather an army and defeat the Demon Lord. He did indeed go and embark on a long journey alone, and he finally arrived at the border of Zoltan, where he met a monster named Owlbear. Gideon, who has changed his name to Red, chooses to hide in a tree even though he could have killed and defeated the owlbear. But he remembers that he is no longer in the Hero's Party group, so he refuses to help an adventurer named Albert to defeat Owlbear. Red says he wants to start a simple life and is not interested even though his adventurer rank will increase if he helps kill Owlbear. But Red's refusal to fight doesn't seem to last long. He meets a sick little boy named Tanta. Tanta is threatened with blindness if he is not cured. Red finally decides to return to the forest in search of herbs that will be able to heal Tanta. By then, Albert had already set fire to the forest in his attempt to kill and capture the owlbear. Red continues to enter the forest through the fire that is getting bigger. After getting the herbs in the middle of the forest, Red confronts the owlbear. He has no other choice but to use his powers and kill the owlbear. Owlbear was killed, but Red quickly left the forest. Albert sees Owlbear's body and claims he killed Owlbear, even though he is suspicious of Red. On the other side, in Zoltan village, Tanta has been successfully cured because of the herbal medicine from Red. Tanta is apparently the nephew of a carpenter named Gunts. Gunts intends to thank Red and will make him a house and a pharmacist. 4 months later, Red's house and pharmacist are ready. Red waits in the empty pharmacist alone when a young yellow-haired woman walks in. The young woman was an adventurer named Reet. She apparently knows Gideon and hears about him moving to Zoltan and changing his name to Red. Reed is having trouble with her family. She had to ascend the throne regarding support, so she decided to run away. Although initially reluctant, Red eventually allows her to move in and live with him. The scene again moves to flashback. Reed is a princess in the Duchy of Loggervia. Her real name is Rieslet. The Duchy of Loggervia and the Heroes Party are related, so that Reed and Gideon had met before. They even once fought together to defeat the Demon Lord's army. The fight initially went smoothly, but a Duchy of Loggervia troops betrayed Reed and her troops lost. The Heroes Party had previously been ordered to guard the castle, so they couldn't come to Reed's aid in the fight. Even so, Red can't stay still. He rushes to the fight and helps her. Red and Reed fight together against the Demon Lord's men named Shisondan. They desperately try to survive while waiting for help from the Heroes Party. Just as they were about to lose, Rudy came and immediately defeated Shisondan. Reed was devastated, although the battle was won by the Heroes Party and the Duchy of Loggervia. Gideon found Reed sitting alone in her room in the Duchy of Loggervia castle. Reed finds out her teacher is dead, making her decide she doesn't want to fight anymore. She didn't want to lose someone precious to her in the fight. Red tries to calm her down and lift her spirits again. After that, she returned to have the spirit to go out and fight against the Demon Lord troops. Back in the present, Reed and Red chat at the dinner table, reminiscing about their memories from the past. Reed decides to work at the pharmacy with Red. Red is shocked and refuses. He said that she was an adventurer needed in battle. In addition, he then says he can't pay her in large amounts. But Reed insisted on being able to work at the pharmacy. She even said she would quit being an adventurer. Red can't refuse her request when she explains that she can compensate for Red's shortcomings, who have shallow thoughts. In addition, she then promises that she will help him cover up his identity. Red finally can't resist anymore. He was forced to allow her to stay at his house and work with him at the pharmacy. The Heroes Party welcomes a new member named Tise Garland at a different place. Tise Garland is an assassin who will replace Gideon. She has the ability in the form of a gift of power, which can be used to kill. Her ability is not arbitrary, and her killing ability exceeds other assassins. Knowing her potential, the Heroes Party placed Tise Garland under Rudy, so that later, she will receive direct teachings from the hero. The scene shifts to Zoltan, where Red and Reed live casually. They both do a lot of activities together, starting from shopping and serving customers at pharmacies to developing new medical products. Because of their hard work, the pharmacy is getting busier with customers. One day, they go together to ask permission to sell a new medicine. On the way, they met Tanta, who was fighting with his friend. However, Red sees the fight as unbalanced because Tanta's friend, a big boy, has managed to awaken his gift. The boy throws a rock at Red, which he immediately deflects with a sword. Reed managed to separate the fight. When she calms down Tanta and his friends, Red explains that when a child awakens their gift, their nature often changes according to their gift type. This is what is happening to Tanta's friend. They have a fighting gift, so his character becomes aggressive. The scene returns to the Heroes Party. The split in the Heroes Party was inevitable. One of the members, Danan, finds out that Ares expelled Gideon. Danan said that the Heroes Party would have had a lot of trouble without Gideon. One of them is how the Heroes Party failed to negotiate with the locals to get information about the whereabouts of the Demon Lord. Danan and the other members of the Heroes Party urge to find Gideon. Ares is angry about their failure due to his leadership and Gideon's absence. Rudy heard about this and gave permission to Danan to look for Gideon. Finally, Danan left the Heroes Party. In contrast to the chaos at the Heroes Party, Red and Reed lead a quiet life at Zoltan. A group of adventurers who came to the pharmacy were surprised when they saw Reed. They apparently recognized her as the #1 adventurer in Zoltan. Reed seemed to really want to drink a honey drink on that day. She exits the pharmacy and leaves Red alone to make potions. That's when Albert comes to the pharmacy and asks Red about Albert. Red insists that he has nothing to do with Albert's death, which upsets him. Albert draws a sword, intending to challenge Red to a fight. Reed came back from buying drinks and saw Albert and his sword. Without many words, Reed immediately attacked Albert and managed to subdue him with ease. Reed's anger was apparently so great that she threatened to kill Albert. Luckily, Red acts quickly and stops her. He said Albert only came to test him, but Reed didn't believe it. Meanwhile, Albert watches as Red, with super speed, catches the honey drink that Reed dropped. After the adventurers heard about Reed's decision to step down and work at the pharmacy, Adventurers Guild came to see Red. They had come to the pharmacy to persuade Reed to return as an adventurer. But Reed refused. She didn't even care what the guild said to convince her. Apparently, not only Reet who received an offer to return to fight as an adventurer. Red is visited by a man who is from the Thieves Guild. The Thieves Guild asks him to let Reet go. Red balks and says she means a lot to him. He then says that no matter what happens, they seem inseparable. Red's words make Reet happy. Reet's memories then return to the past when they were still in the hero's party. Reet finds it impossible to get close to Red. One of them is because of the close relationship between Red and Rudy. Even when Reet's friend, a high elf named Yarandrala, convinces Reet that she has no feelings for Red and that Reet could try to approach him, Reet still stands no chance. This situation made Reet feel hopeless. After a big fight against the Demon Lord army, she decided to leave the hero's party. At the pharmacy, Red and Reet shyly tell each other how they feel. Reet said she was happy because she could meet and even be close to Red, not as an adventurer but as an ordinary citizen. Red, with blushing cheeks, said that he was grateful to live peacefully with her. The peace that Red and Reet felt was unfortunately not experienced by Rudy. At the hero's party headquarters, Rudy looked sad and aloof. She missed her older brother Gideon very much. She remembered the last words of Gideon, who asked for leave to go on a mission. She doesn't believe why he left her, but she has a duty with the hero's party, and she has no choice but to continue her journey. Red and Reet's peaceful life at Zoltan doesn't last forever. One night during heavy rain, an old man named Dr. Newman arrives carrying a child who looks seriously injured. The child's name is Al. Dr. Newman explains a problem in Zoltan village related to medicine. Red and Dr. Newman find a man poisoned by a medicine claimed to increase their gifts. However, the medicine instead make the victims lose their humanity. Red explains that these people use their new powers to attack anyone because of using the medicine. Red provides first aid to the poisoned victim and gives the medicine to Dr. Newman. The next day, Red and Reet are having breakfast together when they decide to find something new. They decide to go on a picnic. They ride a dragon to fly to a remote area of Zoltan. Here, they then swim in the river and eat grilled meat. The scene shifts to the hero's party adventure. Rudy and the other members finally found a place that was confirmed to be the Demon Lord's weapons storage. To the hero's party members, RA said they would prove they could complete the mission without Gideon. They managed to get in, but the adventure was by no means easy, even when Rudy had to exert her ability. She said Gideon's absence actually cost RAs the most when they were on the verge of defeat. Because RAs, with the gift as a mage, takes a long time before it can bring out the power. In the past, when Gideon was still part of the hero's party, he would protect RAs while he prepared to unleash his abilities. But right now, because Gideon and Guide's abilities weren't there, RAs couldn't cast abilities. Back on Zoltan, things got even more dangerous. The medicine users who lost their human side started attacking the citizens. Al, who was previously brought by Dr. Newman, reveals that she and her parents were attacked by someone named Ademi. She says that Ademi came with an axe. However, judging from the wounds on Al's body and her parents, Ademi did not attack them with axe. The case of the attack by Ademi created a commotion. Residents demonstrated at the Zoltan Guard office. On the other hand, while eating with Red and Reet, who look after Al at home, Al asks to be taught to use a sword. Reet accepts her request to teach her. Not long after, Red receives news that Tanta was taken by guards headed by Moan, and no one has been able to meet him. Red and Reet contact the guild so they can meet Tantan and Moan. A meeting is finally arranged so that they can hear Moan's explanation. The guards were apparently looking for people for questioning, and they had no idea that Tantan was a child. Moan then asks for an explanation from Red regarding the assault case. Red concludes that this assault case is still related to the dangerous medicine based on their information. Meanwhile, Al, alone at the pharmacy, was approached by a foreign man. The man gave her a red sword which apparently had been given the locate spell. When Red returns from the meeting, Al again asks to be taught how to use the sword. Red is willing to teach her because Reet had not come at that time. After training, Al asks why Red is in such a low rank when his strength is so great. Red's answer is simple, because power should not be flaunted. On the other hand, Reet is on a mission from Moan to catch a drug dealer. Reet manages to corner one of the criminals before the criminal suddenly explodes. The battle was heated, and she almost lost, but Danan, a member of the hero's party, came to save her. Danan explains to Reet that he appreciates Red's desire to live a peaceful life. Danan then asks Reet to keep their meeting a secret. Reet then went home and immediately sat on Red's lap because she was tired. That's when Red shows the red sword that Al gave him. He asks Reet to learn about the sword, and she discovers that it has the locate spell. The spell works like a tracker and will tell someone the sword's position. On the other hand, the hero's party managed to find the weapon of the former demon lord before. The weapon is an airplane, which can still be used. The next day at Zoltan, Reet disguises herself as Al and encounters a group of people who previously gave weapons to Al. She took out 2 swords, one of which was the red sword. At the same time, a group member kidnaps the real Al. They intend to use her as a means of revenge. Big Hawk, the group leader, ordered Al to kill Odd Amy in public. Previously, Big Hawk had influenced the citizens, so Odd Amy's execution received much support. Al apparently still doesn't have the heart to hurt Odd Amy. Instead of killing her friend, she freed him. Unfortunately, Big Hawk's plans don't stop there. Big Hawk gives Odd Amy a weapon to attack Al. That's when Red appears among the Big Hawk's subordinates. Apparently, Red had been infiltrating Big Hawk's subordinates to find out his plan. Odd Amy and Al can be free, although the problems of Red and Big Hawk are not over yet. Big Hawk comes looking for Red and challenges him to a fight. Among the Big Hawk's subordinates were mid-level adventurers. One of them was Albert. They think Red is weak and are surprised to see him easily counter Albert's attack. Albert realized that his efforts had been in vain when he was easily defeated by someone who didn't intend to be a hero. Meanwhile, even though the problem with Red is over, the citizens who had been influenced were not easily pacified. The only way to be taken is for Al and Odd Amy to forgive each other in public. After the two forgave each other, the residents calmed down, and the atmosphere in the village of Zoltan returned to normal. On the other hand, Rudy and Tisei traveled by airship. They went to Zoltan without telling the other heroes' party members, especially Ares. Their journey to Zoltan carries a mission of its own. Rudy wanted to find a supply of medicine. Told earlier, she met a demon lord named Belial, who gave her a medicine gift. Belial explained that the medicine came from a demon's heart and could provide a second gift. However, the medicine has a side effect which will weaken the first gift you have. So if Rudy takes medicine, her hero gift will be weakened, but she will have a second gift. In Zoltan, it was winter, so most residents chose to stay at home. Red Pharmacy was deserted from visitors. Reet notices the lack of pharmacy customers and suggests Red concoct a medicine that will be suitable for winter. He creates an object that can later warm. Residents of Zoltan then like Red's heating object. The next scene shows Rudy and Tisei arriving at Zoltan. The two of them plan not to stand out in the village. Unfortunately, the plan almost failed because they were blocked by someone when they were going to enter the village, which required Rudy to pay money to get into Zoltan. Rudy refused to pay and just passed the guy. The fight was unavoidable, so Rudy and Tisei's plan not to appear conspicuous failed. On the other hand, Red is having the same problem. When going to cross the bridge, someone asked for money. He gets annoyed and accidentally hits the guy. After entering the village, Rudy went around. Missing her brother makes her imagine walking together and chatting with Red. As they sit on a park bench and he holds her head, she realizes it was just a fantasy. That night, Rudy and Tisei stayed on the boat and planned to go to the pharmacy the next day. Rudy and Tisei enter the pharmacy, which is being looked after by Red alone. Rudy is surprised to see Red and immediately rushes over to hug him. Red, who looks nervous, finally invites Rudy and Tisei to sit in the dining room and talk. In the middle of the conversation, Red confirms to Rudy that he will never again join the hero's party to fight. He says he has found a purpose in life and lives his day as a pharmacist. Rudy understands Red's reasoning and stops asking him to return to the hero's party. Instead, she makes the decision to stay at Zoltan with him. Meanwhile, the hero's party group is not doing well. The group are on its way to find Rudy. Their condition worsened after Ares was injured. Unexpectedly, there was a new member in the hero's party. Albert apparently merged into a hero after losing to Red. In Zoltan, Rudy went alone to inspect an ancient ruin. Red and Reet hear Tisei's explanation of their mission, but not much information can be given. Red is curious and worried about Rudy, so he follows his sister to the ruins. He promises he'll be able to talk directly to the drug maker. At the same time, the hero's party had apparently arrived at Zoltan. Red accidentally runs into Danan on the road, who still hasn't left Zoltan. But there was a strange incident, because on the other hand, the hero's party also met Danan. Danan explains to Red his suspicions about someone disguised as him. Danan, who met Red back then, only had one arm. His right arm had been severed. Meanwhile, Danan, who met Ares' group, had two hands. Ares seemed to be provoked by Danon to go to the ancient ruins. At that time, Red and Danon went to the ruins. Red manages to get into the ruins and meets Rudy. He explains that there is a way to dampen hero gifts. Rudy wonders why her brother did that. In fact, suppressing hero gifts means stopping being a hero. Red smiled at his sister's question. He then explained that he had been a hero all this time only for her sake. He prepares his strength if one day she needs help. So if she decides to stop being a hero, he doesn't mind at all. Red says he wants Rudy to be able to do whatever she wants. Apparently, it wasn't just Red and Rudy who was in ruins. Ares managed to enter as well. When Reed and Tise followed into the ruins, they were greeted by a monster presented by Ares. Ares uses his magical power to blow Red away after failing to persuade Rudy to return. Rudy avenged Ares' action on Red by slashing a sword at him. Although covered in blood, Ares is still alive. He then meets Bowie, who provokes him to find an ancient artifact hidden in ruins. He finally teamed up with Bowie to get the artifact to make Rudy a full-fledged hero. Just then, the real Danon managed to enter the ruins. He discovered that the man with Ares was not Bowie, but a demon named Shisandon. Danon attacked Shisandon and was on the verge of defeat. But Ares actually intervened and turned the situation around so that Danon fell in defeat. Shisandon managed to get an artifact in the form of a sword. However, to make Rudy a hero completely, it is not enough just to have these artifacts. Ares must eliminate the most valuable figure in the hero's life. Ares attacks Red, who doesn't stay still. Their battle was hot. Ares and Shisandon carry artifact swords that will be used to kill Red. Meanwhile, Red returns to use his old sword. During the battle, a member of the hero's party named Theodora came to attack Rudy. She apparently disapproves of Rudy quitting as a hero. Ares is not an easy opponent to beat. He uses the power of creator magic to take down Red and Reed. Luckily, there is Danon, who pushes Red up to return to the battle. On the other hand, Rudy defeated Theodora, and this time, faced off against Shisandon. As a hero, it's not difficult for Rudy to beat Shisandon. Unfortunately, Rudy accidentally touched the artifact, making her lose the hero gift. The artifact affects Rudy, causing her to attack Red. Luckily, Tise immediately blocked Rudy's attack. Even though in the end, it was Tise who was injured. Theodora heals Tise, and Red manages to incapacitate Rudy. Banished from the hero's party concludes with Red, Rudy, and Reed returning to their peaceful lives. Even Red and Reed end up getting married. The moral that can be learned from this anime is that the way of life is not only determined by fate, but also the efforts and desires of each person. A person's destiny is not the only basis in that person's life.